Sit back and throw one back with your pinky in the air and a middle finger to the world and join me, the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, as we look back on this day in pro wrestling history. But before we do, put that drink down, like, share, and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get our wrestling history on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is May 14th, and we're going to start off as we always do on a positive note. That's right, these are your pro wrestling birthdays. 1938, Montreal, Quebec's Butcher Vachon. 1951, remembered more for his managerial career than his wrestling career, Robert Fuller. 1955, Leon Big Van Vader White. 1960, Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. 1960, Dr. Death, Steve Williams. And last but not least, woo woo woo, 1985, Zack Ryder. And we're going to keep that positivity train a-rolling. That's right, these are your pro wrestling history highlights for May 14th. A short trip in the Wayback Machine today as we start in 1974, with Giant Baba winning his second All Japan Championship Carnival Tournament, his second straight win in a row, by defeating Mr. Wrestling in the finals of the Elimination Tournament. Baba defeated Curtis Ayake and Mark Lewin to reach the finals. Making two stops in 1983, first Carlos Colon defeats Ox Baker in San Juan, Puerto Rico to win the WWC World Heavyweight title for a second time. Second stop in 83 sees Roddy Piper and Billy Jack Haynes team to defeat NWA World Champion Ric Flair and Rip Oliver in the main event of a Pacific Northwest wrestling event in Portland, Oregon. Skipping ahead to 1980, a busy day for the WWF as they ran 3 live events in different markets. Bruno Sammartino vs. Ken Patera headlined a card in Springfield, Massachusetts. Gorilla Monsoon and Ivan Putski challenged for the WWF Tag Team Championships against the Wild Samoans in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And WWF Champion Bob Backlund went to a double DQ with Larry Zbyszko in Maine. Making two stops in 1983, first Carlos Colon defeats Ox Baker in San Juan, Puerto Rico to win the WWC World Heavyweight title for a second time. Second stop in 83 sees Roddy Piper and Billy Jack Haynes team to defeat NWA World Champion Ric Flair and Rip Oliver in the main event of a Pacific Northwest wrestling event in Portland, Oregon. 1987, the WWF is at it again, running 3 different markets. First, Fresno, California was headlined by WWF World Champion Hulk Hogan defeating Kamala. Vancouver was headlined by Randy Savage defeating Tito Santana, and Minnesota was headlined by Hercules Hernandez defeating Billy Jack Haynes in a chain match. 1989, Roddy Piper continued his return from retirement, pinning Ted DiBiase in Sacramento, California before 10,000 fans at a house show. Piper substituted for an injured Jake Roberts and was a surprise that was not advertised. 1990, Ole Anderson is named Booker of WCW, replacing Ric Flair, who had resigned from the position, citing continued difficulties trying to run the creative end of the company under WCW Vice President Jim Herd. 1993, the very first show ever held at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, takes place. It was the first of 2 consecutive days of television tapings that saw results such as Tommy Cairo winning a battle royal to become the first ECW Pennsylvania champion. 1994, Extreme Championship Wrestling ran the ECW Arena in Philadelphia for When Worlds Collide, featuring the largest crowd to date for an event ever held there, with 1,558 paid. The show was headlined by Sabu and WCW star Bobby Eaton taking on Terry Funk and WCW star Arn Anderson. The Public Enemy, taking a payday from Paul E. Dangerously, attacked Funk, but Anderson ran them off. After being accidentally struck by Funk, Anderson turned on him, beating his knees with a steel chair. That set up Sabu locking on a single-legged Boston Crab, which Funk submitted to. And last but not least, 1995, the first ever WWF In Your House pay-per-view was held. WWF launches the shows as bi-monthly 2-hour events with a lower $14.95 pay-per-view price tag. The initial pay-per-view was held in Syracuse, New York at the OWN Center. As a promotion for the event, the WWF gave away a house in Orlando, Florida. Those were your short but sweet pro wrestling history highlights for May 14th. I'm the Eclectic Gentleman, Stephen Watts, and we'll see you tomorrow.